Hello, and welcome to the Worksmart Dynamics webinar on raising a purchase requisition that will be recharged to a home and community care client. In this session, we'll be covering how to raise a purchase requisitions for goods or services that will be recharged to a client. Once you are in the Worksmart Dynamics system, you go to the left-hand navigation pane, go to Procurement and Sourcing, and Purchase Requisitions Prepared by Me. Once you've come to the Purchase Requisitions Prepared by Me table, you simply select the New option in the top left. You give your purchase requisition a name. This is an internal reference field that is designed to provide a reference for you if you need to find the requisition later. So we need to put a meaningful description in this field. We then set the requested date for the good or service. If we are doing a standard order, we set the requested date to the day we wish for the good or service to be delivered. If we are paying using this as a blanket order, you set the requested date to the last date we expect the good or service to occur, whether this be 3 months from now, 6 months, or to the end of the financial year. It just simply covers a period of time. For this example, we will be doing a standard purchase order, and therefore I'll set the requested date to the date I wish the goods or service to be delivered to the client. We leave the accounting date set to today's date. We then go OK down the bottom. Once we click OK, the purchase requisition itself is created. The requisition is split into 3 parts: our purchase requisition header, our purchase requisition lines, and our line details section, and I'll go through each in turn. In the purchase requisition header, there's only 2 fields that we can interact with here. The first is our reason field. This sets what type of order the requisition is. If we open up the drop-down, we can see we have 4 options here. The first is a standard order, a blanket, and then we have a client recharge standard and a client recharge blanket. For orders that will be charged back to a client, we select option 3 or 4, which is a client recharge standard and blanket. So for this example, I'm going to pick client recharge standard. Once we set our reason, we can see that the details field becomes available. This once again is an internal reference field. It's designed to allow you to give more detail to your approver as to the nature of this order. It's once again strictly internal reference. It does not appear on the purchase order for the supplier, and it does not appear on the client statement. This is also a non-mandatory field. Once we've completed the header section, we go down to our purchase requisition line section and we add a line. Once we added our line, the first field we interact with is our procurement category field. This is the field that normally would set our general ledger code that sits behind our order. For client recharge orders, we always pick from the HCP recharge client choice section. If we expand the section, we have a number of options depending on the good or service that is being provided. It's important to note that you always select from the lowest level of the category. So if I go down through HCP recharge client choice to allied health, I have a number of options, and I'm going to pick one of these. I can tell this is the lowest option in the hierarchy as there is no further drop down next to it. Once I've put my procurement category in, I'm going to enter my product name. So this is obviously the description of the good or service that we're being purchased. And this field appears on the purchase order for the supplier. It will also appear on the client statement. Once we've put in our product name, we advance to the quantity field. The quantity is obviously the quantity that we are buying in for this good or service. In this case, we're just going to purchase 1. The unit is our unit of measure. This sets what we're purchasing in. For most orders, we recommend using either each or dollar as the catch-all. We then set our unit price. So this is the cost of the good or service, and it should always be raised price inclusive of GST. Once we set our unit price, we encounter the customer account field. If I open the drop-down, it will provide me with a list of customers, a list of clients. These clients have already been filtered based on your default cost center. So we can see here that I can only see clients from the cost center 440002. If I need to select a client from a different cost center, I simply scroll down to the line details section and I change my cost center underneath the financial dimensions tab. Upon updating the cost center, we will see that I can now have a different list of clients available to me in the customer account field based on facility. Once I select the client that I wish to recharge the order to, I pick their name from the list and it populates in the field. We then select our vendor account by either typing in this field or selecting based on the drop-down. Once we have selected our vendor, our line is complete. And we can move down to the line details section. The line details contain two really important areas. The first is our client recharge tab. In the client recharge tab, you can see the program type that's being charged and the client surcharge. For most of the procurement categories, the client surcharge will be automatically set to 10%. Some categories will have a discretionary surcharge, in which case the surcharge will be set to 0%. If we wish to apply the surcharge in this case, you would simply update the client surcharge field to 10%. Next, if we go to our address tab, we can see the delivery address of the order. It is important to note that as a default, the system will select the default cost uniting delivery address based on the cost center. So as a default, it will be a uniting delivery address. If you need this delivered to a client's address, you simply click the plus button to add an address. And you complete the address fields in order to add the new address in the system. Once you've added the address, it will populate it on the order. The last tab here is our Financial Dimensions tab. Once again, this shows us the coding for the order. You'll note the activity code will automatically be updated based on the selected client. So you won't really need to update any of the fields in here, but you can see the coding. Once we've done that, we've effectively completed our order. All we need to do now is go up the top and we go Workflow, Submit. The system will allow us to put a comment in for our approver, but this is once again not mandatory. We can then click Submit to finalize our order and submit it for approval. Once the manager receives and approves our order, our requisition, a purchase order will be automatically generated and sent to the supplier. At this point, we have completed the process and the requisition has been raised. Thank you for joining us on this webinar. As always, you can find further materials and guides and support on the Worksmart Dynamics SharePoint site, both in terms of written guides and further electronic webinars and e-guides. Thanks.